Hello and welcome to Ivanti Service Manager Training. In this course, we're going to learn about service level management. I'm going to give you an overview of service level management, what it is, some of the uses, some examples of existing service level management. We're going to talk about using priority numbers to set targets. We're going to set up our own service level agreement. So we're going to take a look at the service owner role. We're going to touch back with organizational units and hours of operation. We cover those in the other classes, but we'll touch on them again here. We're going to look at creating a service, and then creating an agreement, and then subscribing to an agreement. All right, so let's get started. I'm going to log an incident. I'll just come over here to choose report an issue. Okay, I'm going to put a summary in here and a description. And urgency. Okay, and then save the incident. Okay, I'm going to change my role to the service desk analyst. Okay, and here's the one that I just submitted. I'm going to open that up. Okay, so what we're going to look at over here is we're going to look at these targets. We've got a response target and a resolution target. So targets are set up, and you can have thresholds with those targets, but they're set up to keep keep everybody on track with, in this case, resolving an incident. It could be, completing a task. When you're doing change, it could be, you've got milestones and, a lot of different things there. But what we're doing here, what we're going to look at is with the incident, this is our resolution target and our response target. The response target will be considered responded to when the status is set to active. So the response target is to keep us on track when a customer submits an incident. We want to let them know that we know about it. We don't want it to just sit in there and nobody takes action on it. So this is running to keep us on track. What the idea is that, okay, as customer submits an incident, and as a service desk analyst, you come in here and you take a look at what they've put in here, and then maybe I want to classify that, give it a service in a category. Now, when I give it a category, it's going to change that status to active. I could change that status to active manually. Whoops. I could go over there and do that. Or I can also change it to active by assigning this incident to me. But we'll just go ahead and give it the category. Okay, so you see how it sets to active. And then the owner field needs to be filled in, so I'm just going to click on assign and put my owner there. All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. We know about it. I've classified it. And this right here, we're expecting to see it met. It is web-based, so a lot of times you're going to have to hit the refresh within the product to see something take place. So this is considered met. So this clock is not going to be running anymore. But the resolution target is going to keep running this clock because our goal for this one is to get the status to resolved. And you'll see if I hover over this, we've got some different thresholds that can be set up. So you can say, if a certain amount of time goes by and this is not set to resolved, then run some quick action. So after it crosses the thresholds, you can tell it what type of quick action to run. It can be an email, it can be, I don't know, you update the priority to a 1, or you create a task, anything you can do with the quick actions, and then they'd be added there. So here I can see my target for having this resolved. All right. So when you first get started with the product, what a lot of people will do is they'll base these targets on the priority number, which is perfectly fine. But then after you get to, use the product for a while, you start to mature with it, you might think, well, you know what, I would like to set up something where if a certain customer, like a customer from the I don't know, the finance department or, something like that. If they log an incident, maybe I want to get that incident resolved quicker than if it's somebody from, let's say, I don't know, the admitting office or something like that. Okay. So the idea is that I could create a service level agreement. And the service level agreement is going to look at this customer's organizational unit. Let's take a look at that. Okay, so every customer is going to have an organizational unit, and you can have this, the org unit mapped over from Active Directory if you want to. What some people will do is create their own structure for the org unit within this product because, they're grouping things a little bit differently than they are in AD. So either way, you want to give them an org unit. If you don't put anything in there, it's going to put it as default, and default is fine until you want to subscribe to to an agreement. Okay, so that's one thing. We start off, we're saying, okay, well, our targets are just based on the priority. Now we're saying, well, if the customer's from this org unit, we want to handle those incidents a little bit quicker. The other thing that you can do is you can say, okay, well, if it's a certain service, so maybe if it's HR or finance or something like that, then maybe those we want to handle a little bit quicker, or maybe some of them you want to handle slower. Whatever you want to do, when you get away from just using the priority number and you want to use the customer's org unit and or a service, that's when you're going to go in and you're going to create a service level agreement. And then what happens is the customer would subscribe to that agreement. All right, so let's take a look at some of the existing agreements. Okay, using my administrator role, I'm going to come back over here to the configuration console. All right, and then we have escalation, where is it here? Automation tools, and then escalation schedules. So we can see over here the names of some of the schedules. The ones that we're going to work with right now is resolution and response. But you can see we've got them for service requests and we've got them for tasks. Okay, but we're just going to do the incident resolution and response. All right, so let me take a look first at response. Remember, an incident is considered responded to. Let me just open one up here. It's considered responded to when the status is set to active. All right, so here's my escalation schedule. Let me move that so you can read it a little bit better. So the way that you would read this is my incident response schedule. What this would do is if somebody logged an incident, okay, a customer, and the service that was selected was benefits management. So over here, if I did benefits management, okay, and if the customer's org unit is sales and marketing. So let me go to this incident and let's look at the customer's org unit. And it's sales and marketing. So that would mean this is the schedule that it's going to look at. So we've got 8 hours to put this into an active state. If the service is benefits management and the customer's org unit is sales and marketing. Okay. Now over here you can tie the calendar into that. We did the calendar in a different class, but basically these it's showing the same calendar for all, but it doesn't have to be. Depending on what the service is or maybe the customer's org unit, you might have different hours set for that hours of operation. But what the hours of operation is doing in here is it's determining when the clock is running. So we've got 8 hours, but is the clock running 24/7, just 8 to 5? So you can set the weekly hours of operation up and then call them in here. Let's take a look now at the resolution schedule. Oops, I'll move that over a little bit. Okay, so this one is somewhat similar. It's just that we've got some thresholds set. We could have set the thresholds on the other one. But over here, we're saying, okay, if the Incidents logged and the services benefits management. Whoops. Just like we looked at over here. And the customer's org unit is sales and marketing. Just like we looked at right here. Okay. So this is the schedule that it's going to use for getting the status set to resolved. All right, so we've got 3 days using the weekly hours of operation calendar. And then, let me move this over just a little bit. And then these are the different thresholds that you can set up. So we can say, okay, well, if level 1, so if 22% of this 3 days goes by and the status isn't set to resolved, we can tell it to run a quick action here. And then we could do the same thing here and the same thing here. Now, not everybody likes to have all 3 of the thresholds set because, you know, oftentimes when you start sending too many emails, people ignore them. So you don't have to have all 3 of these. You could have just 1 or just 1 and 2, but you can't have more than 3. Okay? And then these are all set up in the schedule here. Okay, so what the schedule is telling it is that the clock is regulated by, right here, the status field. Okay, these here are different statuses that you can have set. So it's the clock is running when the status is active. It's not going to be running when the status is completed. We've got it running when it's logged. Okay, and so on. Waiting for third party, that would be sending off for somebody else to take action. Maybe we don't want to pause the clock on that. We want to say that we want to keep it running then. Okay, so you just click on it and it'll give you the drop down. And then waiting for customer, this is a good reason to mark your incidents as waiting for customer when you are waiting, because it's going to pause the clock, and so it's not going to you know, affect your SLAs as much. All right, let me just save that. Okay, and then the thresholds, we've got all of these. If you look, all the percents are the same, 22, 41, 83. And that's because over here we're saying that the schedule's enabled, and we're saying use the action from the upper level. That would be this incident thing right here, tab. And then the level settings, use validation from upper level. So these right here are not actually set on their own. It's using it from the upper level. So what that really means is I would come to the incident resolution and then set thresholds. So from here I can see, let me make this a little bigger. Okay, so from here I can see our target duration is 5 days using the weekly hours of operation calendar. If we breach, if we don't match that or meet that, then it's going to run a quick action. And then these levels right here, we've got set as follows. And so this has the 22% and it has the quick action to run and so on. So I got there by clicking on this and then set thresholds. But let's say for a specific agreement, let's take this one here, I want to set my own thresholds. So I would choose set thresholds. And then I would not choose to use the action from upper level. I would set as follows. Okay, it's letting me set up my target here. I could pick a different clock if I want to. On breach, so you're telling it what to run. Let's auto close it. Now I'm just going to do the this one for here for now. Okay. Now escalation level 1 and 2 and 3. We're not going to be able to set these yet until we come over here and tell it to set it on the escalation level tabs. Then you can go to the tabs, all right, and drag these around wherever you want them to be. And you don't have to drag it. You could just come in here and say, okay, well, at 50%, if the status is still not set to resolved, run, you know, this quick action. And then let's say at escalation level 2, we're going to set as follows. We're going to say at 85%, if it's still not resolved, we're going to run that one. Okay, and then the third one, I'm not going to escalate that level, just going to have 2. Okay, so now when an incident gets logged and the services benefits management, The customer's org unit is sales and marketing. Our target for getting it resolved is 3 days, 3 hours, and 3 minutes. This is indicating when the clock will be running. And then these are the levels at which it's going to run a quick action if the status is not set to resolved. Okay. Now, I know when I teach this in person, a lot of times people get kind of overwhelmed at this point, like, wow, do we have to do all of that? No, you don't have to do all of that. Like I said, a lot of people will start off using the product and they'll simply use the priority numbers. But like I said, as you start to mature with it, you'll say, well, you know what, if it's, this type of a service, I might want to, handle that quicker. Or if the customer's from a certain org unit, I might want to handle that quicker. And then that's when you'd start building, some of these. Okay, so what I'm going to do, so we have a role over here that we created called the service owner role. And what this does is it allows you to give people rights to, to create service level agreements without giving them rights to the admin or the configuration console. Okay, strictly service owner. Now, you can use existing services. I'm going to come over here. Okay, and what you're seeing is the different services where if I was on an incident and I clicked on a drop down, these are the services that I'm seeing. Okay, but what you could do is you could have, your service owner could also create their own service. So I'm going to come over here. So for this one, we'll say that we are a hospital, okay, for this example. So over here for my service name, I'm going to call this one operating room. All right, and you'll notice some of these are required, some are not. Where we've got operating room right here, whenever an incident comes in and we create a task, if you want to control which teams the task can be assigned to, you can come over here and you can select. So let's say I'm going to put facilities here. Well, if I just leave it like this, when somebody creates an incident and they select operating room as the service, if somebody wants to create a task off of that, they're only going to see facilities. Now you can also come over here to team and add additional teams. So maybe if the service is so the service is operating room, and then over here I can link other teams. So let's say, well, it might be something where maybe telecommunications, and you can hold your control down and just select certain things here. I'm going to do telecom. And how about IT? Okay, so now if somebody goes in and creates an incident and the service is operating room right here, and anybody that goes to create a task off of that incident, these are going to be the only teams that they'll be able to see and create a task for. Okay, so I'm going to come back over here and finish filling this in. I mean, it could be just a specific person owns this service. Type of service, so for reporting purposes, is this a business service, a technical? I'm going to say both. It could be a lot of different things there. So for target availability, you can put a percent in there. What percent of the equipment in the operating room are we saying that is going to be available? Well, I think it should be 100%, but I'll put 99, okay? All right, and then status. So I could just be planning this service, or I can put it straight into production. And then the category, this would be if I want to sort through my services on a list, okay, and I can see the different categories. And then hours of operation. So here's where I would tie a calendar, or hours of operation calendar, to a service here. So think about this one here is when do we want the clock to be running if there's an incident for the operating room. I'm going to choose 24/7. Okay, and you can put things down here, the summary, the description, what value they're going to get. You can associate a cost with it. I'm just going to save this. All right, so you know when we create an incident, it makes us put a category in before we can save it. So let's go over here and I'm going to little arrow over here to the right. Okay, and what we're looking for is service desk category. So I select this and I can either create a brand new category or link to existing. So let's say you have several services and you know, account lockout is one of the categories. Well, you don't have to keep typing account lockout. I could just use that from here. Okay. I'll do, how about cable failure and boot failure. Okay, so there's a couple of things for the category. Now if somebody tries to create an incident using operating room as the service, they'll have these categories to choose from. All right, so I'm going to save that. All right, so the next thing you're going to do is you're going to set up your service level package. So right here you're going to see service level package, and it automatically sets up a default package. Now you may or may not have seen over here we've got gold, silver, we've got default, bronze. You can have different levels of that package as well. So I can say, okay, well, everybody gets the default package, but if they pay extra, we'll give them a gold level package. And then maybe what the gold level package does is it has the hours of operation as 24/7 rather than 8 to 5 for a default or bronze package. Okay. All right, so let's take a look at this. Operating room default, that's the name of my package, and I'm going to choose Go To. Now remember, anytime in the product that you click on Go To, it opens another tab and takes you to that record so that you can get more information. So Go To, it's taking me to the service package that's called default. So here's where you could put gold or silver or bronze. Give it a description. You can associate a cost if you want to. Over here, we've got the hours of operation. So what's our target for complying to this agreement? You can have expiration dates and dates that you review. Maybe you're setting this up for some special that you're going to run, and for, you know, a mere $100 you get 24/7 service, but we only do that for 30 days, and you know, so you could actually have it expire. All right, so I've got the this part right here set up. I've looked at the service level package. Now down here we've got these different tabs, and the ones we're going to do is the response and the resolution. All right, so I'm going to come down here and I'm going to select response. Remember, the response clock is running when a customer submits an incident, and that clock stops running once the status is set to active. Okay, so down here we've got, this is our target for responding to it, and I can completely configure this different than what I had, you know, up here if I want to. So down here, our target, we'll say in the duration, I'm going to do my 3 days, 3 hours, and 3 minutes. Okay, what clock are we going to have running against that? So I've got the different clocks to choose from. I'll do the, we'll just do the 9 to 5. Okay, probably shouldn't do that. And then what's our target for complying to this 3 days, 3 hours, and 3 minutes? Okay, I'm going to save this. All right. But let's say the incident, the customer logs the incident, and the service is operating room. Okay, and we see what our target is here. But what if it's a priority 1 incident? Well, then we probably should, you know, set something up for that. So I'm going to choose Go To, and it's going to take me to the response target. Okay, so there's that information that you saw on the bottom of the previous tab. But down here, you're going to see target override conditions. So I'm going to select New, and I'm going to say if it's a priority 1, then our target's going to be 3 days, 2 hours, and 1 minute, and save. Now I'm just doing priority 1. You could, you know, do additional ones if you want to. All right, so I'm going to close these. Okay. I guess I'll just leave this one open. And now what we're going to do is we're going to do the resolution target. So what's our goal for getting the status set to resolved? So I'm going to come down here, and I like to put numbers in here so it kind of stands out from the others so you can see those. All right, I'm going to save that. It's important that you save this before you set up your target override conditions, otherwise you won't, these won't save. So I'm going to choose Save. And then I'm going to come down here in the Go To. This is where I'm going to say, but if it's a priority 1, so I'm going to choose New. Then our target's going to be 5 days, 4 hours, and 3 minutes. Okay, so I've got all that set up. All right, so let me close these. And I'm going to backtrack just a little bit, kind of go over what we did. Okay, so using the service owner role, I went to Services and I added a new service. Okay, I called it Operating Room. I filled the information in so that I could save this on an incident record. I put a category in right here. So I selected some existing categories. I could also, you know, put one of my own. Maybe water's coming in somewhere, I don't know. All right, so we did the category. Then what we did was we created our service level package. We just went with the default and then customized it. But I could have this one and a gold and a silver, whatever you want to set. And you don't have to call them gold, silver, and bronze. Call them whatever you want. All right, so with this here, I wanted to see more information about that. So with this highlighted, I went to Go To. Okay, and it opened up the service package for default. You see the default right here. And I went down here and I set my target for responding to this. So when a customer submits an incident, the status is set to logged, this clock is running, and we have this much time to get the status set to active. Okay, and we also set up the resolution target. Okay, so that's for getting our status to resolved. And then on both of those, we did the Go To and even set up an override. So if it was a priority 1, this is our target for resolving it. So if it was a priority 1, the response target, we had 3 days, 2 hours, and 1 minute to get the status set to active. All right, so let's take a look now at the next step is that we create an agreement. Okay, so I'm currently logged in as myself, and I could change my role into the self-service, but I could also do it using the service owner role. So the system knows who I am and that I'm logged in. It knows what my org unit is. So I'm going to come over here to More, and I'm going to select SLA subscription. Okay, over here on the right, you see a button that says Create Agreement. So I'm going to select that. And here's the different services. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to select one of the packages for the services that I'm interested in. Well, all I'm going to do right now for this one is the operating room. Okay, I'm going to choose Select. All right, so now I can see, okay, well, this is the only package that we have for sales and marketing. This is why you want to make sure that your customer, whoever you're logged in with, is not set to default. You want an actual org unit. So here's my service level package, and I can do what's available to sales and marketing, just sales. It's all the same thing on this one here, but anyway, okay. So you can see that that's been selected. I can come down here and I can choose Next and Next again. Okay, and so now I'm on my Review and Save. Here's my service. Here's the org unit that is subscribing, or my org unit here. Okay, and then the package that we've selected. And then on the left-hand side, you'll see these are our targets for These are our targets for resolving, and this is our target for responding to it. And there's the different time that we have in there. All right. So let's go look at this in the user interface. So this is all, I'm going to save that. Okay. And I'm going to come back in as a customer. And new issue. All right, and I'm going to make this one high and save. All right, so those clocks are both running now. I can view my item if I want to. I'm going to come over here, change my role to a service desk analyst. All right, the service desk analyst sees that we've got, we've got an incident that's been logged by a customer. I'm going to go ahead and double click to open that up. Okay, so here I'm looking at this and I'm going to classify this. I'm going to say it's operating room and then category. What do you know? We have a category for flood. All right, urgency, impact. Well, urgency, I'd say high. Impact, is it affecting the whole company? Well, we'll just do medium for that one. Okay, and then owner, I'm just going to choose assign over here and put the owner in. All right, these are my targets. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to save this. And I want to do a refresh here because I want to see that this one has been met. Okay, so it shows that it's been met. If I come over here now, our target for resolving this, we can see how much time we have before the first escalation. Okay, and it's going to do whatever escalations that we've set up. I think we only set up 2, so you see the others, but we only set the 2 up there. All right, so that is service level management. And let's take a look at a couple of things here. I'm going to change my role back to administrator. And if I come back here, let's just go back to the home page here. And I'm going to go to escalation schedules. And let's do the incident, how about resolution? All right. So as I'm looking at the different escalation schedules, I'm going to go down and I'm going to look for the one that I put in here. So I put in operating room. Okay, where is it here? Right there. I'll make it a little bit bigger. Okay, so the incident comes in and the service is operating room. The customer's org unit is sales and marketing. That's what mine was. All right. So our target for getting this resolved is 5 days, 5 hours, and 5 minutes. I'm using the 24/7 clock. All right. And oops, I forget to set these on each tab. That's all right. Okay. And then if it happens to be a priority 1, my target is 5 days, 4 hours, and 3 minutes. Okay, using the 24/7 clock. If you want to go in and look at these or change these, this is what I was showing you earlier. If you go to the thresholds, okay. All right, so in here you've got your target duration and your hours and all that, and then the different escalation levels. So if I tell it to set it on the tabs and not the upper level is going to take the main settings there. For this one here, I'm going to do 50. And I don't know, I'm just going to put something like that on there. And then escalation level 2, we're going to say 85. I showed you this earlier, but on a different service here. And save. Okay, so now if I look at this, you can see for the operating room over here, we've got, oops, I didn't set the third one. Oh boy, Do not escalate this level. Okay, so there's our operating room. The target, the clock that, or the calendar thing that's running the clock, whatever you call it, and then in here the thresholds that we have set up. All right, so that's service level management. Something else that's kind of cool with the service owner role. Okay, I'm going to open up a dashboard that's been created for the service owner role. And it's called SLM dashboard. I'll just add it to my list here. Okay, now I'm going to come back here and I'm going to switch to that dashboard, SLM dashboard. This is going to show you different targets. I can see the trends. I can see how we did on compliance. So a lot of things in here. So service completed trend, and we can see the different, we've got the legend over there so we can see those. Yes, if you hover over things, you'll see more information. We can look at the SLA compliance. So we can see the different things that we have here, and you can expand these to see the information. And then our OLA target compliance, we didn't set any of those up, but they're basically going to be set up very similar. Okay. All right, so we've talked about service level management. And one thing that I didn't show you was if out of the box, if you just wanted to use your priority numbers, a place that you could go to change the values. Let me go to Administrator. I'm going to go over here to my configuration console. And I'm going to come over here to Process Wizard. Okay, so the Process Wizard, these things will be filled out as you're getting your system, put in, installed, and configured and all that. But if I come over here to Incident Management, you're going to see Escalation here. So if I click on Escalation, these are the different priority numbers that we have. So for example, if it's a priority 2, our target for responding to it, meaning setting the status to active, is 2 days. And our target to getting the status to resolved is 3 days. But you can change these. I can come in here and go to Edit. And so here's the resolution. So I can tell it what I want. Is it 3 days, what have you. And then what's it going to run against. And then you can set the thresholds up there. And then the same thing for response. So set the response target. This one here doesn't have any escalation levels set, but you can set them. Now you can't take this past these right here. So if you want to move this to the right a little bit more, if you go to there, move that over. Go there and move that over. And then I don't actually want to escalate either of these, so I'm going to uncheck that. But now I've got free, I can move this wherever I want to put it. And then save. Okay, so that was using the administrator role, going to the configuration console, going to the magnifying glass, Process Wizard, right there. And then when it opened up Process Wizard, we expanded incident management and then escalation. Now, if you do make changes to these, you're going to want to go to the review and finish, okay? And, oops, we come back out here. All right, and then finish, and it'll save your changes. Okay, let's take a look at where we can maybe get some help. Okay, so to get some help within the product, using your administrator role, just go to Home, using the Service Desk console, working with service level management. Don't forget to join the Ivanti Insider program. And we've created a couple of activities for you. So what you can do is create a service in a category. Remember, it's best to use the service owner role because it's basically configured to do that. Then review the settings that you have for your org units and your hours of operation. So for example, if you're logged in as Jane Doe, you're going to go to Jane Doe's record and then make sure that there's an org unit set. Okay, we don't want it to be default. And then go in and using your service owner role again, create a service level agreement, and then subscribe to the agreement that you just created. Okay, and this all can be done with the service owner role. Okay, thank you.